Imagine a world where the most influential book ever written was not a book at all, but a collection of texts, stories, and teachings that have been translated, reinterpreted, and reimagined countless times over millennia. This is the world of the Bible, a book that has shaped the course of human history, influenced art, literature, and culture, and continues to be a source of inspiration and controversy. But what if the Bible as we know it today is not the original text, but a product of numerous translations, each layer adding its own nuances and interpretations? What if the Bible we hold in our hands is a mirror reflecting the cultural, social, and political contexts of its various translators and interpreters? The Bible did not spring fully formed from the earth. It is a collection of texts written over centuries, in different languages, and by different authors. The Hebrew Bible, or the Old Testament, contains a rich tapestry of stories, laws, and wisdom literature that emerged from the experiences and beliefs of the ancient Israelites. These texts were originally written in Hebrew, with some parts in Aramaic, and were passed down orally before being written down. The New Testament, on the other hand, was written in Greek and contains the Gospels, letters, and other Christian writings that detail the life and teachings of Jesus Christ and the early Christian community. The first major translation of the Hebrew Bible was the Septuagint, an ancient Greek version that emerged in the 3rd century BCE. This translation was born out of a practical need. The Jewish community in Alexandria, Egypt, was no longer fluent in Hebrew, and they required a version of the sacred texts in the language they spoke. The Septuagint was not just a translation. It was a bridge between the Jewish and Hellenistic worlds. It allowed the Hebrew Bible to be accessible to a broader audience, including Greek-speaking Jews and early Christians. The legend of the Septuagint's creation is as fascinating as the text itself. According to the letter of Aristeas, King Ptolemy II of Egypt commissioned 72 scholars from each of the 12 tribes of Israel to translate the Torah into Greek. These scholars, it is said, completed their work in 72 days and produced identical translations, a feat that was seen as divine inspiration. While this story is likely a pious legend, it underscores the importance and reverence with which the Septuagint was regarded. The Septuagint had a profound impact on the development of early Christianity. Many of the New Testament writers, including Paul, quoted the Septuagint rather than the Hebrew original. This means that the Greek version of the Hebrew Bible influenced the way early Christians understood and interpreted the Old Testament. The Septuagint also introduced new theological concepts and interpretations that were not present in the Hebrew text. For example, the Septuagint's translation of Deuteronomy chapter 32, verses 8 to 9, which suggests a polytheistic context, differs from the current Hebrew text, which emphasizes monotheism. This difference highlights the dynamic nature of translation and the ways in which it can shape religious understanding. Fast forward to the 17th century, and the King James Version, KJV, of the Bible emerges as one of the most influential translations in the English language. Commissioned by King James I of England in 1604, the KJV was the result of the work of 47 scholars who aimed to create a Bible that would be accessible and authoritative. The KJV language is renowned for its beauty and poetic quality, and it has had a lasting impact on English literature and culture. Phrases from the KJV, such as "Let there be light," "The writing is on the wall," and "A thorn in the flesh," have become part of the English lexicon. However, the KJV is not without its critics. Some argue that its language is archaic and difficult for modern readers to understand. Others point out that it is based on the Textus Receptus, a Greek text that is not the most reliable or accurate. Despite these criticisms, the KJV remains a beloved and influential translation, and its impact on the English language and culture is undeniable. The Bible is not a static text. It is a living document that has been interpreted and reinterpreted throughout history. Different critical methods have emerged to study the Bible, each offering unique insights into its meaning and significance. The historical critical method, for example, seeks to understand the historical context in which the texts were written and the intentions of their authors. This method involves examining the sources, dates, and literary development of the texts, and it has been influential in biblical scholarship. However, some scholars argue that the historical critical method can be too focused on the behind the text and may miss the rich literary and theological dimensions of the Bible. Literary approaches, on the other hand, focus on the text as it stands, treating it as a work of literature that can be analyzed for its themes, motifs, and narrative structure. This approach is more interested in front of the text, as Paul Ricoeur puts it, and how the text engages with contemporary issues and interests. In recent decades, post-critical interpretation has emerged as a new frontier in biblical studies. This approach is informed by political, social scientific, and postmodernist insights, and seeks to understand the Bible in its cultural and historical context, while also engaging with contemporary issues. Post-critical interpretation is often interdisciplinary, drawing on fields such as feminist theory, liberation theology, and queer theory to offer new perspectives on the Bible. For example, feminist biblical scholars have highlighted the ways in which the Bible has been used to justify patriarchal structures, and have sought to recover the voices of women in the text. Liberation theologians have focused on how the Bible can be a tool for social justice and the liberation of oppressed groups. Queer theorists have explored the diverse sexualities and gender identities present in the Bible and have challenged traditional interpretations that marginalize LGBTQ+ individuals. The advent of the digital age has brought new challenges and opportunities for biblical interpretation. The Internet has made it easier than ever for people to access and study the Bible, and digital tools have revolutionized the way scholars analyze and interpret biblical texts. Online resources such as Bible software, digital libraries, and interactive websites provide access to a wealth of information and resources that were once available only to scholars. However, the digital age has also raised new questions about the authority and interpretation of the Bible. With so many translations and interpretations available, it can be difficult for readers to navigate the vast array of options and make sense of the text. The Internet has democratized biblical interpretation, But it has also created a space where anyone can offer an interpretation, regardless of their expertise or training. The Bible is a book that has been translated, reinterpreted, and reimagined countless times over the centuries. It is a living document that continues to evolve and adapt to the changing needs of its readers. Whether through the ancient Septuagint, the poetic KJV, or the diverse interpretations of post-critical scholars, the Bible remains a powerful and influential text that speaks to the human condition. As we continue to engage with the Bible, we must remember that it is not a fixed and immutable text, but a dynamic and living document that invites us to explore, question, and interpret its rich and complex meanings.